Hello and welcome, my name's Kevin, this is Dude for Bruce. We're here in CK3 for another time lapse. This one we're going back to the well, doing a four corners once again. Four immortals, four corners of the map, seeing who's the most prolific among them all. That understanding out of the way, let's get to predictions. Number one, Northwest will be the most prolific country. With that said, he starts as Asatru, but I have a feeling he will convert to Catholicism, so that will be the most prolific religion. And finally, I think let's say 2 out of the 4 will survive to the end of the time lapse. So let's get underway and see what happens. We're 434 years in the future, and because of the more game rules mod, looks like the AI has been super aggressive in dominating the map and getting underway. So let's just look around the map. It looks like we have kind of a three-way split. Looks like our southwestern immortal has passed away, but everybody else seems to be staying strong. Currently looks like Britannia Northwest is engaged in a conflict with looks like both Southeast and Northeast, who have an uneasy alliance with one another, maintaining that going on. Here in the Southwest, it looks like things are just falling apart because, you know, the empire is just too big, and eventually everything fell asunder because of his death at the age of 420. Blazed died under suspicious circumstances. Interesting. Then his son inherited, and all hell just broke loose, probably due to the fact that they're not have a cohesive religion. So, speaking of religion, let's get underway and see who's first in the world. Ooh, Catholicism. How you be? Got good. We got 100 or 1120 for you, and about 473 for Donipoliism, and Ashari 447, and then Siguism with a distant fourth. Looks like for the most part they did a good job of converting all the lands, but I thought Tangri was going to be a thing over here, but unfortunately it looks like both the religions that I thought would actually make a cohesive religion or reform their religion did not, but actually the ones who did were the southeast and southwest, the southern neighbors, which is funny. All right, let's go into culture, because we gotta look and see if any of the made up cultures I had got anywhere. I gave them all quarrelsome and by the sword. It looks like for the most part they stayed within their own kind of weird neck of the woods, not really expanding outside of their areas. Seems like there was some hybridization here and there, but for the most part they stayed only in the areas that I initially gave them. After that, we can look at let's just look at the immortals themselves and see how many of them are left. I think it's of the 4, there's only 3, but let me just double check that with our so we got all the thickness. I love how they just get thicker and thicker as the years go on, but they are making decent amount of cash each, and they have a ton of prestige. Ooh, that's quite the southeast is making a lot of money. But let's look at who's the most of the people, who's the military strength. So it's the top 4 are the big empires, but it looks like really it's Britannia who runs this place, especially with how much land they are, and they're probably also, they had a much higher force limit, probably traditionally. Yeah, they have a much higher force limit, but they're in the midst of a war with both northeast and southeast, so they're fighting for their lives. At this point, this is why the game really slows down, because it's hard for the AI to map. I feel like the last 50 years took about maybe 4 to 6 hours of actual time to pass. That's why you saw such a slowdown in activity in the latter half of the time lapse itself. But yeah, I think for the most part this has been pretty successful. I think the more games rule mod adds a lot more flavor. Usually I felt like when I ran this before, the AI kind of just petered out after getting a couple of lands, but now it's like, if I had probably a better processor and stuff, I probably would have been able to run this better and longer. But also maybe the game's just not optimized to have the map this way. Either way, let's quickly cover court languages and see what's up, because we love to see it. It looks like Norse is predominantly the one in power. Yeah, Mongolic probably a distant. Yeah, it looks like Mongolic or this language down here with a distant third or second. Let's look at development really quickly and see if anything really changed. It's actually surprising. It still seems like the counties that get the biggest development boon are the ones that start out with the most development and then just continue to spread it to its neighbors. Like all these areas, I don't see, like, you'd think that the empire started here in the south, that there would be a bunch of development, but instead there's not quite as much as there should be, in my opinion. Like, yes, they're at 35. Yeah, it doesn't seem 26. The other thing, we also gave them a ton of dominion to see if they would use it all, but it looks like for the most part they don't. They don't seem to ever really go past 26, 32, 24. Obviously it was for everybody who got this, but they didn't quite reach all the way to the 10,000 mark. And then right before we sign off, let's look at what dynastic pillars everybody went down. So it looks like the rating ones for these guys, a couple of those, a couple more of those. So it looks like everybody like rounded out about a 4, around 4-ish, some more than others. What about this family? Yeah, seems like 4 was the tap out for how many they would be able to finish within the time allotted. But that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And as always, have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you later. Ciao.